I think that's a great transition point. So we're gonna move on to the next
No,
topic right
that's a
here.
dope. That's a dope
Transition.
point,
That's a
Lester.
that's a really
I
great
fuck with
transition point.
that. I fuck with that.
And so
That's a great point.
one of the things that I think we have talked quite a bit about is the amount of just dope music that has dropped over the past summer. Right? We've got Jid put together a really great project. I don't know how everybody else feels. Clipse is my album of the year right now. You've got Chance the Rapper, Joey Badass just dropped. G Malone, we're talking about new ways that people are going to do stuff. G Malone just created the digital maxi single for his track Wanted. You've got Screwface John going viral off his new track, Document 79. Where does everyone feel about where the quality of the music that's coming out, away from the star power, away from how well it's charting at this point? But how do you guys feel about the music
I
that's
think
dropping
some of
right
the
now?
best hip hop music has come out this year in a long time. As
Word.
far as just like bar for bar, motherfuckers spitting. I think some of the best beats, rhymes. I think this has been one of the dopest years in a long time. Everybody's doing their thing. I've listened to a lot of. I listened to Joey's album today. That shit. He got some joints on there. Chan's album was great. Of course, the Clipse, JID, Bodie James shit was stupid. I know Glasses did this motherfucker. You gonna give us some shit. So this has been a phenomenal. Did GNX drop this year or was that
No, that was
last year?
December last year.
That was last year.
November.
But yeah, I'm sure Keen probably start coming here soon. Like this been a phenomenal. It's been a phenomenal year, and there's a lot of guys that's underground. That's holding a weight and dropping some dope music. I only say it's that other side that we missing, and that's where we dropping the ball. But on some like the culture and people making dope music and great beats, I feel like we're in an excellent space in hip hop music, my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
What do you think, Screwface?
Yeah. I think it's been the music has been absolutely great. I think I have multiple contenders for album of the year, and I don't think I've had that in a while in one year where it's like multiple albums. It's Clipse, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like multiple ones that could be contender of the year, which is good. I think people are really focusing on the content, which is great. I think we were in a very, very passive listening era where it started to be like cool to be super like not saying anything, and to the point where if someone was saying something it was almost shunned. And I think like the tides have turned, but this is the ebbs and flows of how hip hop always goes. I think we're gonna slide into like an era that's very the antithesis of what we're just in. And then eventually it'll turn over again. But I always say it feels like a new renaissance of not just conscious, because when you say like great albums, people think all of a sudden you mean everybody's in there just spitting like comedic science. That's not what I'm saying. I mean like even like Don't Tap the Glass was like a good album. It wasn't like super complex lyrically. It wasn't super like dense to think about, but people, it seemed like they're putting in their best effort and not just making playlist fodder, which I think is good. And then also when you have moments like the battle with Joey and TDE, like I think it was very telling that people like Daylight had a moment this year. Joey Badass had a moment this year. Ray Vaughn had a couple. So like, I can't remember too many years where people were really locked into like, yo, what's Daylight about to do? Which is a good sign, I think. So yeah, that's what I think.
That's one thing too, right? That Tyler album is a sleeper, weird project that one, I think is connecting on the same energy in a way that we're not necessarily thinking about in terms of these other projects we're talking about. This is not his lyrical foray in the same sense. It's just a fun dance record that's got a bunch of bars in it. Macito, what do you think about where we are right now?
There's been great hip hop music dropped this year. I think nobody can debate that. You know what I mean? We've gotten, high level albums this year. So, I don't think anybody can really say anything different about that, but to offer some not some pushback, but just alternative, right? Like Stat is 100% correct, right? We can't just focus on that, right? We need the hits, right? We would like a few more hits. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people have said this is, you know, their least favorite summer musically in a while. And I think that, you know, you kind of got to watch the background. Stat and Glasses, y'all gonna know about this, about how Billboard is trying to minimize hip hop with the radio play, and how Billboard is trying to, you know, kind of push hip hop into a certain lane, monetarily and statistically, right? So I would like to see, you know, a couple more big records would have been nice, or you know, the year ain't over. If we get that, that'll be nice. And also, you know, like we speak about this shift, and I, as much as anybody else, would love a shift, but it can't quite be a shift to me if all the artists providing the shift have been out for 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily a shift as much as a shift in our interest, right? So I do need to see this impacted, like Glasses said, generationally. I need to see what you know, not necessarily young guys, because you can start rapping whenever you start rapping, but that next generation of rappers, how will what we're doing musically now affect them, right? We seen, you know, the SoundCloud era, the 2016 era. We saw in the years preceding how the game actually did shift, right? So I'm very interested to see if this is just, you know, lip service, if it's just people just, you know, seeing that this is the wave and acting like they all rocking with it, or if it's actually going to affect their artistry, if it's actually going to affect how they go about things, you know what I mean? Or they just going to hop on the next wave when the next wave comes, which might be completely 180 from this. So while I am excited about, you know, the music that has come out, I mean, come on, this Clipse album, you know what I mean? Some people fronting on the Joey album. I love the Joey album, you know what I mean? A lot of people have been putting in a lot of work this year. A lot of our favorites have been putting in a lot of work this year, but I need to see a little bit more. I'm not happy with it yet. I'm not gonna act like we at the finish line. I don't even think we at the halfway point of where we trying to get with it. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not even sure we're all the way back at the beginning yet, right? Because things go through cycles. You know, sometimes, you know, what's Thomas Jefferson say? Liberty's got to be refreshed by the blood of patriot and tyrants at different points in time. Hip hop is no different, right? Everything gets big and then everything gets small, right? You look at Wall Street, right? We're in a time of extreme acquisition right now. We will run into a time where, hopefully, in my opinion, actually, well, you will run into a time where everything is broken up. The history of the music industry is like that. A whole bunch of collaboration, consolidation in space, and then everything falls down into a whole bunch of different companies, and then it builds it back up, right? I think we're in that space right now. We're in a space, for example, where we're in between sounds, right? Which is one of the things that's most exciting to me about regional rap. We don't know what the next sound that's dominant is. So I like Joey going back to different eras of New York and playing with different sounds and putting some twists on it. I like Chance the Rapper going to Chicago and giving me all my favorite eras of Chicago on this project. You know, I love Metro Boomin going back with his celebration. I love what GNX is doing. I love Bad Bunny going to Puerto Rico for WTR Mas Photos. I love Redman going back to Jersey hip hop or the Jersey bounce sound for Muddy Waters too, right? Everywhere I look, everybody is straight up going to different directions and finding sound. To me, that's exciting.
Urban, cultural, artistic expression. Once you stripped, to Stat's point, Drake was such a league leader making rap songs that your records needed, like, it was so important. How do you get a budget from a record label and how much it sounded like them? I mean, even from the pool of producers that they had. Like, there was a time when pop had hip hop in a headlock. And that's what I'm saying. The fact that we are like losing our mind over hip hop being like, you know, different, because that's all we call it, regional rap, but it's really just different. You know what I mean? The fact that we're losing our mind over that, that's how it was before 2008. Like, Kanye is the first one that kind of came in and started to, forgive me, you know, my boy, kind of popularize how we heard it. You know what I mean? Where you hear, wait till I get my money right. You hear certain things where they kind of started to be more functioning, you know, like pasteurized. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then Drake, you know, with 40, they're so brilliant with how they approach making records. You know what I mean? That became the standard. Like, I keep saying this. I heard an interview with Hitmaker with Young Berg, and Berg was like, what are we gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is this very minute amount of time that this was happening. Remember, hip hop has been going. The first hit record is in 79, right? So right now, we're 40 plus years. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about a sample size of what was probably, 15 years max. That feels like it just overcame all, 30 years before.
Right.
So
Right. Like hip hop doesn't get its own chart. You don't get a rap chart until 1989.
you know what I'm saying? So I feel like
In the grand scheme of things, in this grand scheme of this big thing we're talking about, a very small amount of time has dealt with chart topping, platinum selling, global trending things. You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme, majority of the time has been cultural, regional, different,
but the
niche.
80s, but the 80s set it up for the 90s. You know what I mean? You had the message, but you had a bunch of Treacherous 3 records that wasn't the biggest song. Top Billing is not a chart topping master. Like to Curtis's point, like we've always had that until Dr. Dre, until Puff, Tony Polk, until RZA, a couple guys come and they really start making records for hip hop to compete with all records through all genres. Before that, it was pretty hit and miss. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a standard. We wasn't as competitive with all music. It was something specifically for people that grew up this way or people that was interested in people who grew up this way. I remember like studying some shit from 88 when Tone Loc had these smash hit records. I mean, he was whooping the shit out of NWA on the charts. And nobody gave a fuck. Nobody made Tone Loc better than NWA because you understood culturally what was happening with NWA. You realized that was a renaissance of a movement. Like, what is going on with these people? And Tone Loc got the biggest songs in the world. Funky Cold Medina. Wow. I mean,
To this day, I don't know what a Funky Cold Medina actually is, by the way.
he
Is
tells
it a
you
beer?
about it.
Is it a drink? Is it a drink?
It's
Is
a
it a
beverage.
woman? Is it a woman's?
It's a beverage.
Beverage? Okay.
It's a beverage. So I'm saying it's like,
My vocabulary wasn't where it is now back then when I heard that song.
facts. But I'm saying, like, it's cool that we get this extra time because, like I always say, Screwface, this could have been rock and roll. We would have not been around. There would be no possibility for the ghetto. If this is the ghetto CNN, there'd have been no possibility and no action for the ghetto anymore. They would have been written out of it. And people don't believe it can happen. It's happened every single fucking time. So I'm glad, like Status said, like I get it because it does put Drake under a microscope. And that's kind of fucked up for somebody like me and Stat who really revere great record makers. Because we did come up in the era where, we didn't even have to worry about culture. That was so second nature. You just had to worry about making a record. Fabulous could go team up with Rick Rock and get Nate Dogg because you knew he was from New York. It was never going to be a question. That's how spoiled we were culturally. So we came from an era to revere great record makers. But then now we have been so far into it that now anybody can make records that sound like us. As long as they could pass as us, those people started to get the budgets, the credit, and that's who they started to mold everything about records to the business. And that became a problem. So I'm proud of Dot, cutting his head off and forcing him to retreat and figure out what do you really want to do? Like, you have to make a choice. And when you see he's forced to make a choice, he's making the truest, most authentic choice that he can make. I'm going to assume everything you said in this record.
I think I'm gonna say this because I'm about to go. First of all, I want to if y'all know Curtis, tell him it's all love. I don't know if I wasn't. He took that the wrong way.
Put y'all together, man. Me and Justin.
Yeah, because it's all.
We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out.
Ain't your style.
That's one thing I want to say. It's all love. I ain't tripping. And number two, Kendrick is phenomenal because to me in hip hop that was the last like big record, and that's I can say what Glasses is talking about. I just from somebody that sat in that studio night after night after night for myself and other people trying to make those moments and make music that would connect with millions of people. It's just a very difficult thing. And so when I talk about Drake, I have immense respect for however it came. Okay, you know how collectively or however he made the hit or however he did it. I have a immense respect because I feel like he came from a place where I remember Carnell Official. We didn't fuck with no Canadian rappers, you know what I'm saying? So like I remember Carnell, that was my dog. So I got a lot of respect. Like I said, Boy Wonder's like my brother. But at the end of the day, I live in LA and you know how close me and Top is, and Kendrick is always gonna be family. So it is what it is. But I'm gonna
It's
say
all
that
close. It's all close anyway on the squabble, dog. It like people
exactly.
don't know how. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like when Joey Badass was doing this thing, I'm like, man, people don't understand how close Joey is to TDE. You know what I'm saying? So when I knew he had records with Soul and all that, you know, I knew what that, you know what I mean? So it's just the same get out now. I think this Drake shit is a little bit different and deeper, but yeah, man, it's all love.
Culture united, our culture united, our culture united, our culture united, connecting all over the world, connecting all over the world, connecting all over the world, connecting all over the world. 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 Connecting all over the world.